Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Law Insight. My name is Gavin and you're listening to Listen with Gavin, the show that delves into all aspects of property. Today I'll be talking about super and how you can use your super fund to purchase your next investment property. Investing in property with super has been extremely popular over the past few years due to the massive benefits it can provide for you investors out there. The main benefit is that super is an alternative avenue for property investing that has very little impact on your personal finance or your future borrowing capacity. Using super to purchase a home is a very smart strategy, but it can hugely differ to what you are used to when purchasing homes the traditional way. So let's go through some of those differences. Number one, you must have a reasonable fund balance. Just like any standard property purchase, you need borrowing capacity. However, within the superannuation environment, lending criteria is much stricter. Generally, lenders won't approve high loan-to-value ratios in excess of 80%. So what I mean is that to borrow for an investment property purchase, you will need a reasonable fund balance. At a minimum, this is generally $200,000 or approximately 40% of the investment property value. Many younger investors may not have accumulated a big enough super balance to invest in property yet. Number two, you will need a self-managed super fund. Here's the thing, you can't buy property directly within the retail or industry super funds. So you have to set up a self-managed super fund to invest in property. And there are establishment costs of approximately $3,000. It makes sense then that if your primary reason for establishing a self-managed super fund is to invest in property, that you have a reasonable fund balance. Number three, an appropriate trust structure must be established. Another major difference is that you have to borrow to invest in property in your self-managed super fund. A specific holding trust is required until the loan is repaid. Even though your geared property investment will be contained in a specific holding trust called a bare trust, the self-managed super fund will have the beneficial ownership. Legal ownership can be transferred to the self-managed super fund once the asset is fully repaid. This structure is in place to protect other investments held in your self-managed super fund. Number four, source an appropriate self-managed super fund lender. Just like standard mortgages, self-managed super fund loans are subject to lending restrictions, which will vary from lender to lender. Unlike standard mortgages, however, there are a limited number of lending institutions that will lend to self-managed super funds. Plus, due to the holding trust requirements, you will need a limited resource borrowing arrangement, which limits the lender's liability to the asset within the trust and does not include any other investments within the self-managed super fund. Also, as a general rule, lending institutions will require 10% of the proposed property value to remain in the self-managed super fund as liquidity post-transaction, which can be cash or managed funds. That's why having a cash buffer within the fund to allow for loan repayments and investment expenses would be very wise indeed. Key takeaway is there are many potential financial benefits to investing in property using your super. It can be complex. That's why it's important to access professional advice from a qualified financial planner before you decide to go down this route. Thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and see you next time.